Hello, and welcome to Blue Earth County's Election Judge Training. Thank you for your service to your communities as an election judge in 2020. We really appreciate your commitment to helping us make sure that everyone who's eligible to vote has the right to exercise that choice on Election Day, August 11th and November 3rd. My name is Michael Stolberger, and I'm Director of Property and Environmental Resources at Blue Earth County. And in that capacity, I serve as the Elections Administrator. I'll be walking you through many of the training videos that we have built for our election judges to help you get certified and better understand the processes that you'll be participating in on the election days. Let's get started. First off, we'll start by showing you some information about our office and who you can contact if you have any follow-up questions. We have an elections line that is 304-4341, and you can call that during business hours and we'll answer the phone and answer any questions you might have. We also respond to email if that's an easier method for you. I'd also like to introduce Christy Mays. Christy is our Programs and Services Coordinator, and she's available to answer any questions related to election judges and elections administration. Of course, I'm available to answer any questions, and my cell phone number is provided there on the screen for you as well. What I'd like to cover next for you is a little bit more information in terms of what this training will look like. This is our introductory course, and in that introductory course we are going to provide you with a big picture of elections and let you know what elections are all about, and then explain a little bit more about the roles that will be involved in Election Day for our election judges. I'm also going to spend some time talking about the judge training program and making sure that you're comfortable with what's expected of you in order to be certified as an election judge so that you can serve in August and November. I'm also going to spend a fair amount of time talking about pandemic security. The current coronavirus pandemic is causing us to change the way that we handle elections and administer election day activities, and it's obviously having an impact on our training. As you'll find through our training program, our training will be done online as a way to ensure your safety, with an optional capstone course at the very end for you to come and attend in person if you'd so choose, in order to get a hands-on experience with some of our equipment and to ask any last-minute questions. We'll also ensure security in the polling place on election day with some equipment and some process changes. We'll end with some common questions that we hear from our newest election judges, and again give you contact information to follow up if you need any additional information. From a big picture perspective, the state of Minnesota needs about 30,000 election judges to run an election smoothly. In Blue Earth County, we rely on about 350 election judges across our various polling places and precincts that are open on election day. We have 27 of those precincts, and we assign anywhere from 4 to 25 election judges for those precincts based on the number of voters who we expect to register on election day, and many other circumstances and factors in each of those individual locations. We also want you to be aware of the fact that there are two big elections in 2020. The big one, of course, is in November. November 3rd is a presidential election, which always has additional activity and interest associated with it. And we have our state primary coming up August 11th. The August 11th election is a good practice run for us to work out any new processes or system changes, and it's a good opportunity for election judges that are new to understand what the election day activities include so that they're better prepared for November. Serving as an election judge is a great opportunity for you to learn about elections, and we hope that you'll use the information you learned in this training program and on election day to help share information with your friends and family so that they're more comfortable in understanding of how an election is administered in Blue Earth County and across the state. We also have a program called Adopt a Precinct. That's a fundraiser opportunity or community service activity that you can do with your favorite organization or nonprofit group or business in the community. If you'd like to learn more about that, please visit our website or feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss it further. Let's talk a little bit about you as an election judge. To be an election judge in Minnesota, you need to be eligible to vote. That means be at least 18 years of age and be eligible in terms of residency in the state, as well as not have any felonies or other concerns with your voter history or your record, which would prohibit you from voting. We'll get into that detail a little bit more in a future training. You also need to be able to read, write, and speak English, complete your online application, and then complete the training requirements that we're going to talk about in a couple of slides. We also have to prohibit you from working in the same precinct or on the same shift with another family member or spouse. And we also have to prohibit you from working in a precinct in which you're the candidate on the ballot or be a relative or live with a candidate on the ballot. We also prohibit you from discussing any candidates or questions that might be on the ballot. And we also restrict you from discussing private voter data in the polling place as well as outside of the polling place. You can't wear clothing that endorses a candidate, and we also ask you to dress professionally, meaning no slogans, band names, or propaganda on t-shirts or shirts. We also have a student judge program for 16 and 17-year-olds. There are special requirements for student judges, and we'll cover those as we work through additional training. As an election judge, you're going to fill many roles. These roles include setting up the polling place, registering new voters, signing in voters, generally assisting them, and then helping us close out and certify the results at the end of the night. These roles take on many different names. It might be a tabulator judge or a ballot judge or a greeter judge, and we'll talk about all these different roles as we move throughout the training curriculum. I also want to point out that there is a head judge in the polling place. This individual is the person who is responsible and leads the activities on election day in the polling place. They receive some additional training, and we also have a county staff member assigned to our Mankato polling places to serve as a resource on election day. If anyone's interested in becoming a head judge, we'd be happy to chat more about that with you. Let's dive into our training program. The training program, as I mentioned earlier, will be online with an optional capstone in-person class. You can see the training portion here for our election judges in this golden box. You're completing the introduction, the 10-minute introduction video right now, and that's your first step in your training program. You'll spend a fair amount of time working through several videos related to the rules and processes associated with election day. And then we'll have a couple of videos related to the equipment that we'll be using in the polling places on election day. As I mentioned, we'll have an optional capstone session in person, and that will allow you to touch the equipment, use the equipment, and also ask any questions in person that you might have that you weren't able to get answered in a different fashion. You'll see we also have training for other types of judges. Our head judges get additional training, and we also have folks that help in a healthcare environment. For this election, those are staff members of those healthcare facilities, and they receive some training on their own. All of this training is online, and as I said, you'll receive information to help you get through these steps and complete the certification requirements. It's all going to be conducted through your election judge portal. It's a unique code associated with you, so it'll help you track your progress. Alrighty, as I mentioned, we'll spend some time talking about COVID. We want to make sure everyone feels comfortable and is ready to answer any questions that their family members or voters might have in terms of what the county is doing in response to the pandemic. We're going to use current guidance, and that guidance is always changing, so we want to make sure that folks are paying close attention to the most recent information included in the training classes and any additional election day information that might come from their head judges or our county staff member in the polling place. This current guidance includes personal prevention, which means staying home if sick, using hand sanitizer. We're going to strongly recommend face coverings for voters unless the Secretary of State tells us that we can mandate that or we have an ordinance or law that requires that. We are going to require face coverings for our election judges, be that an actual face shield and or a mask that will be provided. We're going to encourage social distancing and we're going to follow cleaning protocols. You'll see on the next slide that we're reducing the amount of shared objects unless they can be cleaned or sanitized. I've got a couple of resources on this screen that would help you with additional information. These are the resources we use to set up our guidance for our polling place activities. I mentioned some additional tools and equipment that will be provided. This includes face shields for our election judges and masks being provided for election judges, as well as disposable masks available for voters if they don't have one and would like to wear one. A disinfectant will be provided, as will hand sanitizer. We'll be using many more pens in the polling places with the plan to collect those and sanitize throughout the election day or back in the office before the November election. And we'll also be using ballot privacy papers rather than secrecy folders so that they can be recycled and disposed of after the voter votes. We'll explain all of this more as we work through other training. We also are going to ask you to help us out with lines and queuing, trying to keep folks coming in one door and out another door and reducing the amount of congestion points if at all possible. And we're also going to rely on your ideas and experiences, especially between the August election and the November election, as we continue to address any changes to the current guidance that we receive from health professionals. Okay. So what if you have more questions? If you have more questions, that's great, and we're going to be happy to answer those, and many of them will also be answered in the additional training that you'll be completing. Let's cover a few of them right now, though. Your additional training will be completed online using that election judge portal that I just talked about. It's been emailed to you. You're already in your portal because you found this class to complete it, most likely, and you'll want to continue working through those other courses and completing any quizzes associated with them so that we can document completion. Let's talk a little bit about your assignments. Your assignment will be made after you can complete training and as we get closer to election day. Some folks want to be assigned to a specific polling place, and we'll do our best to accommodate that, but we can't guarantee that due to our staffing levels as well as needing to balance party affiliation amongst our election judges. I also want to encourage folks that are interested in being a head judge to chat with me more. We'd love to add you to our head judge ranks, and we can place you with another experienced head judge to work through your first couple of elections. So go ahead and take the next step. We'll have you complete your training as soon as possible, and we'll get you prepared to serve as an election judge. Let me leave you with some contact information again in case you want to follow up with us at all, and we'd be happy to answer any of those questions that you might have. Again, let me thank you for your service as an election judge. I hope you enjoy the training, you find it helpful and worthwhile, and that you're able to bring some of that information forward into your community as you serve as an election judge. Thank you.